Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into the really incredible world of multimodal large language models,
Right,
MLLMs.
these are the AIs that can understand text and images.
Yeah.
Super powerful stuff.
Exactly. Think AI brains that can see and read, powering all sorts of things, advanced search, assistive tech. And this is the big but, isn't it?
The challenge.
Yeah, sometimes these super smart AIs, well, they make things up. They
Hallucinations.
hallucinate objects, details, stuff that just isn't in the picture they're looking at.
Yeah.
So the big question we're tackling today is how do we get these MLLMs to be both incredibly smart and incredibly accurate?
And crucially, give the user control.
Precisely. Giving us, the users, like real fine-grained control over what they output. Our mission in this deep dive is to unpack a really fascinating new research paper. It's called Controlling Multimodal LLMs via Reward-Guided Decoding.
It sounds technical, but the core idea is pretty groundbreaking.
Totally. We want to shortcut your understanding of how this new method gives users on-the-fly control, tackling those pesky hallucinations directly.
And this control is just so vital because, different users have vastly different needs. The paper mentions this specifically.
Like what sort of different needs?
Well, imagine someone who's visually impaired. They need absolute precision, right? Hallucinations are more than just annoying. They could be seriously misleading. And they might be using a device with, say, limited compute power.
Okay, that makes sense. High stakes there.
Definitely. But then contrast that with maybe someone generating synthetic captions, like data to train other AIs.
Ah, right.
They might actually want more diversity, more detail, even if it means accepting slightly lower precision sometimes. They want richness.
So two totally different goals for the same kind of tech.
Exactly. And this new method, as we'll get into, offers a way to kind of dial that in.
Okay, before we get to the solution, though, let's make sure we're crystal clear on the problem. An MLLM hallucination, especially with image captioning, what does that actually look like?
It's pretty straightforward, actually. The model describes objects or even relationships between objects that just aren't there in the image.
Can you give an example?
Sure. The paper uses one like there's an image of a black otter with some round things nearby. A model might say a brown bear carrying a frisbee.
Whoa, okay, so completely wrong animal, potentially wrong object.
Exactly. The bear isn't there. Maybe the round things aren't frisbees. It's like the AI is, I don't know, dreaming almost.
And why is this so hard to fix?
Well, these MLMs are doing a really complex dance, right? Processing pixels and text concepts simultaneously. This visual linguistic connection,
Yeah.
it's powerful, but it can lead to these specific kinds of errors.
And the existing fixes, prompting, fine-tuning, you mentioned those earlier.
Yeah, those are the main tools we've had. Prompting is basically telling the AI what you want in the input text, like describe this image accurately, focusing only on the main subject.
But that's quite limited, isn't it?
Very. It gives you only really coarse control, a gentle nudge maybe. And fine-tuning, well, that involves retraining parts of the AI.
Which means
It means you improve its general behavior, maybe reduce hallucinations overall, but you get zero control once it's running. No way to adjust its output style during inference time.
Ah, I see. So once it's trained, it's locked in.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
This is different from text-only LLMs, where reward-guided decoding using another model to score outputs has shown some real promise.
Why hasn't that worked well for MLLMs before?
The challenge is the multimodal part. Handling both vision and language at the same time, it creates unique hallucination types that need a more specific approach than just applying text-based methods.
Okay, so the core problem isn't just fixing hallucinations, it's getting fine-grained, real-time control over the output style without constant retraining. We need a way to tell the MLLM what kind of description we want right now.
Exactly. You want to be able to adjust its behavior on the fly.
Which brings us to the solution proposed in the paper. This multimodal reward-guided decoding, or MRGD. This is where things get really interesting, right?
Absolutely. MRGD is a method for inference-time alignment, meaning it aligns the MLLM's output with user preferences as it generates the text.
How does it do that?
So the core idea is quite clever. It uses two specialized reward models. Think of them as AI critics watching over the MLLM's shoulder.
Two critics. What do they do?
Okay, so reward model one,
Mm-hmm.
let's call it the hallucination slayer, or RAL, as the paper calls it.
Yeah, I like hallucination slayer.
Yeah. Its job is to evaluate object precision. It looks at the caption being generated and asks, are the objects mentioned actually in the image? It's trained specifically to spot hallucinations using preference data,
Preference data.
meaning it learns from examples where humans preferred one caption over another because it was more accurate, less hallucinatory. And it uses a strong base model, like Palagemma, to do this evaluation.
Okay, so one model focused purely on accuracy, slaying hallucinations. What about the second one?
Reward Model 2 is the Recall Champion, or REC. This one focuses on the opposite in a way. It evaluates object recall.
Meaning, does it mention everything it should?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Does the caption cover the important objects in the image thoroughly? Is it detailed enough? This one's actually built by combining a few different tools.
Oh, not just one model.
Right. It uses an object detector, like OWLV2, to find objects in the image first. Then it uses things like SentenceBERT, which understands word meanings, and even older NLP tools like POS taggers.
POS taggers, like grammar tools.
Yeah, to help reliably pull out the nouns, the objects mentioned in the caption being generated. Then it compares. Are the objects found in the image actually mentioned in the caption?
Wow, okay. So it's a combination of AI vision, language understanding, and even some classic NLP. Very cool.
It's a neat way to get a robust measure of recall without needing another huge, specially trained model.
So we have the Slayer, Ralph, checking for precision, killing hallucinations, and the champion pushing for detailed recall. How do they work together? That seems like the crucial part.
This is where the user control comes in. It's actually quite elegant. The system combines the scores from these two reward models using a single knob, basically, a hyperparameter called W.
W.
Yeah, just W. It ranges from 0 to 1 if you said W to 1.
Let me guess. The hallucination slayer gets priority. Precision wins.
Exactly. You're telling the system, avoid hallucinations above all else if you said W to 0.
Recall champion takes over. Get maximum detail.
Precisely. And you can pick any value in between. W is 0.5 for a balance, W is 0 point for mostly precision with a bit of recall focus, and so on. It's like a mixing desk for the AI's output style.
A mixing desk. I like that analogy. So how does the MLLM actually use this combined score?
It happens during generation.
Yeah.
The MLLM starts generating a response, say, about an image.
Yeah.
It gets partway through.
Like halfway through a sentence.
Sort of. It generates maybe a sentence or up to a certain point. Then it pauses and thinks of, say, K different ways to continue. K candidate completions.
Okay, like multiple drafts for the next few words.
Exactly. And each of those K candidates gets scored by our combined reward function, the mix of the Slayer and Champion scores, based on the W set.
Ah, so the critics evaluate the options.
Right. The candidate continuation with the best score, according to your preference, W gets chosen. And that's added to the response.
And then it just repeats this process.
Yep. It keeps generating, pausing periodically, maybe every sentence, maybe more often. That's controlled by another parameter T, generating K options, scoring them, picking the best, and continuing until the full caption is done.
So it's constantly course correcting based on these reward signals.
It's like having an editor constantly reviewing and guiding the writing process step by step based on whether you want ultimate accuracy or ultimate detail or somewhere in between.
This really brings us to the core benefit for you, the listener. MRGD gives you this powerful real-time control. We've talked about the mechanism, now let's talk impact. Two crucial axes of control, right?
Absolutely. Let's break down axis 1, precision versus recall.
The big trade-off.
The big one. The paper shows very clearly you often can't maximize both perfectly. If you push for super high precision, fewer hallucinations.
You might miss some details, lower recall.
Exactly. And if you push for maximum recall, listing every tiny thing.
You risk introducing more hallucinations, higher chance of error.
Right. Now, the W parameter is your direct control over this trade-off. Let's use those examples from the paper again.
Okay. The otter picture.
Right. Image has a black otter, some circular things. The standard model, the greedy one, might hallucinate a brown bear.
Yikes.
But set W 1.0 for MRGD. Maximize precision. The output becomes something like a black otter and circular objects.
Accurate.
Very high precision. It might miss describing the ground texture or something minor, so recall isn't perfect, but it avoids the major hallucination.
What about the other example? The hill and river.
Same idea. Greedy model might invent a staircase or a building, but with W 1.0, MRGD correctly spots the hill, trees, river, autumn leaves, boat. No hallucinations. Clean and accurate.
Okay, that's high precision, W 1.0. What if you swing the pendulum the other way? W 0.0 maximum recall.
Okay, back to the otter. With W 0.0, the model tries to list everything. It might say otter, frisbees, rocks, dirt. That's great recall. But it might also throw in severe hallucinations, like small boat or disc golf ball, things that are definitely not there.
So you get the detail, but also some fantasy elements.
Pretty much. And for the hill image,
Mm.
W0.0 gets great recall again. Hill, steps, leaves, water, boat. But it might hallucinate a train car, tracks, people, even a bridge.
So it's a clear trade-off, but the key is you choose.
Exactly. You can find your sweet spot. Maybe W0.5 is good enough. For the otter, maybe it misidentifies it as a beaver, a small error, but gets lots of other details right without major fabrications.
This dynamic on-the-fly tuning, that really is the revolutionary part, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Mhm.
Moving beyond static models to ones you can actively guide.
So this isn't just making models incrementally better. It's fundamentally changing the interaction. It's about making them customizable to what you need right then and there.
Precise.
From a black box to, like you said, a mixing desk, a tunable instrument, without needing a whole new training cycle every time. That's huge.
Yeah, it democratizes control in a way.
Okay, that covers the precision recall axis beautifully. But people listening might be thinking about practicalities. Processing power, speed.
Right, which brings us to Axis 2, visual grounding versus test time compute. How much does all this extra checking cost?
Yeah, generating hey options, running 2 reward models sounds computationally expensive,
It definitely adds some overhead compared to just letting the model run greedily,
right?
but you also control this trade-off.
How so?
By adjusting K, the number of candidate completions it considers, and T, how frequently it checks them.
Okay, so more candidates K, or checking more often, lower T.
Leads to better visual grounding, potentially higher quality, more aligned output. But yes, it takes more compute time during inference.
And fewer candidates, or checking less often?
Faster, less compute intensive, but maybe slightly less perfectly aligned with your root setting.
So another dial to turn, balancing quality and cost.
Exactly. But here's the kicker, and it's pretty striking from the paper. MRGD can be incredibly efficient.
Efficient? How?
They found that MRGD using just K5 candidates achieved a lower hallucination rate than a more traditional method called rejection sampling that needed to look at K30 candidates.
Wow, so 5 options checked smartly beats 30 options checked more simply.
That's the idea. MRGD is over 6 times more sample efficient in that comparison. It gets better results with way less computational effort at that step.
That's a massive difference in efficiency.
It really is. It makes the approach much more practical. And regarding costs, remember the reward models. Fine-tuning the Palagemma model for RAW took only about 9 minutes on a cluster of 8 high-end GPUs.
9 minutes. That's surprisingly fast for training something like that.
It's a reasonable one-time cost to create these powerful critics. And while MRGD does generate more text tokens overall because it's exploring options, the actual latency increase, the time you wait, isn't drastically higher.
Why not?
Because a lot of the generation process can be done in parallel, in batches. So it's more efficient than it might sound.
Okay, so it's controllable, efficient. How does it stack up against other methods overall?
The experiments look really promising. MRGD consistently did better than other approaches they tested for reducing hallucinations.
Better than fine-tuning methods, too.
Yes, including various fine-tuning strategies and other guided decoding techniques.
Yeah.
Interestingly, some other advanced methods like LLVA, RLHF, or VCD sometimes increased hallucinations compared to the basic greedy model on certain tests.
Really? So trying to align them actually made them worse in some cases?
On specific hallucination metrics, yes. It highlights how tricky this problem is, and why MRGD's focused approach with the 2 reward models seems particularly effective for object hallucinations.
And is this specific to one type of MLLM, or is it more general?
That's another key finding its versatility. It worked well across different MLLM architectures. They tested LLVA 1.5, Llama 3.2 Vision, Small VLM2, quite different models.
And the reward models,
Yeah.
do they need retraining for each new MLLM?
And that's crucial. The same reward models, Froll and Rec, could be applied to guide these different MLLMs without retraining the MLLMs themselves.
That's huge for practicality. You train the critics once, use them widely.
Exactly. Makes it much easier to adopt. They even showed it helps on models already aligned with human preferences, like Llama 3.2 Vision.
So even if a model's already pretty good, MRGD can make it better.
It could further reduce its hallucinations, or using W, you could specifically boost its recall if that's what you needed. It adds another layer of control.
This really opens up some big questions, doesn't it? What are the wider implications when we have this kind of precise real-time control over AI? So just to recap for everyone listening, we've seen how this multimodal reward-guided decoding, MRGD, uses 2 specialized reward models, the hallucination slayer and the recall champion, and a simple W parameter.
to let users dynamically dial in that exact balance they need between precision, fewer errors, and recall more detail.
And how parameters like K and T let you manage the trade-off with computational resources all happening in real time without retraining the main model.
Right. And it's worth remembering this deep dive and the paper's main focus was on object hallucinations. Things like getting the nouns right.
Because those are easier to measure automatically.
Exactly. But the potential is there to extend this. This framework opens doors for future work tackling trickier visual errors.
Like what?
Things like getting attributes wrong, saying a red car when it's blue, or counts, saying 2 dogs when there are 3, or spatial relationships, the cat is on the table versus under it, or even handling negation properly, understanding no cars in a street scene.
Wow, okay. So object hallucination is just the start. This approach could potentially handle much more nuanced understanding.
That's the hope. It provides a mechanism for incorporating more sophisticated reward signals as we figure out how to build them.
So wrapping up, what's the big takeaway for you, the listener? As these powerful MLLMs become more woven into our daily lives, think assistive tech, content creation tools, analysis.
Having this kind of granular real-time control is huge. It means AI outputs that are more reliable because you can demand precision.
More tailored because you can adjust the style to your specific need at that moment.
And ultimately, maybe more trustworthy because the control puts you more in the driver's seat. You get to define how the AI interacts with and describes the world.
It really empowers the user to shape the AI's behavior to match their intent. So here's a final thought to leave you with. We've talked about images and text today, but where else might this core idea, reward-guided decoding, using specialized critics to shape AI output on the fly, give us this kind of powerful control and flexibility?
Yeah, think beyond vision language, code generation, music composition.
Complex decision support. How might you want to fine-tune an AI's output in your own work or even just in your daily life? What kind of mixing desk would you want for the AIs you interact with? Something to ponder.